Chapter 131. The model who was supposed to be in the limelight had been ignored. Everyone's attention was on Gu Xingyin and Ludwig. Of course, a small number of people from another field paid attention to the designer of the outfit. The forum had exploded. This is the fourth replay. Her Majesty the Queen is so beautiful. Oh my God. Her Majesty the Queen's disdainful gaze. Please accept my kneel. Her Majesty the Queen, I want to carry your shoes. As a man, I have to admit that when Her Majesty the Queen glanced at me, I was shamefully hard. 120th comment. Be careful not to get beaten to death. 120th comment. You have to be careful. I have always been a staunch supporter of Feng Ke. No matter what happened, my beliefs never wavered. However, after watching this video, my heart has become a member of the Double Kings faction. I have let down the organization. Upstairs, I forgive you because I have also become a member of the Double Kings faction. Goodbye. I will remain a member of the Double Kings faction for 10,000 years. Feng Ke faction is here. If you are not convinced, come and fight. Haha, Her Majesty the Queen only walked a show. Don't forget that her main business is now the big screen. Long live our Feng Ke faction. It wasn't just the forum. Wan Qi's Weibo was also exploding. After leaving the stage, Ludwig found Gu Xingyin. The road outside is blocked by reporters and fans. Your agent is in front to deal with them. Come with me. Ludwig pulled Gu Xingyin into an inconspicuous car. When the two of them passed by, they happened to see a man with a figure similar to Gu Xingyin's, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. He was hurriedly moving under Chen Rong's cover, and he was soon drowned out by a swarm of reporters. After leaving, they looked at each other and smiled. At this time, Gu Xingyin received a call from Sister Chen. Hey Ke, your fans are crazy. Don't go out for a few days. If you are blocked, it will be difficult to get away. All the media were looking for them. They wanted to get first-hand information. After hanging up, Ludwig raised his eyebrows. Did your agent ask you to go back? Gu Xingyin nodded. Although Ludwig was a little disappointed, he understood. He drove to Gu Xingyin's apartment. When he left, he suddenly leaned over and kissed Gu Xingyin's face. Although you haven't accepted me yet, I won't give up. He pointed at his chest. There's only room for you in here. Pausing for a moment, he continued domineeringly. Then you can only have me in your heart. He thought of those couples he saw on the forum and said hatefully, those Fang Ming, Zhang Qiao Xia, and so on, you are not allowed to be tempted by them. Gu Xingyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This man, even if he didn't have those reincarnation memories, his possessiveness towards her was always so strong. Gu Xingyin rested comfortably at home for almost a week. As expected, almost half of the fashion magazines published her and Ludwig's catwalk photos. All the magazines were sold out, and the printers couldn't stop smiling. Especially the scene of Ludwig kneeling on one knee. She was called the only woman who can conquer His Majesty by the media. At the same time, invitations from major brands and interviews from various fashion magazines were all rejected by Chen Rong. In the end, the annoyed Chen Rong asked for Gu Xingyin's permission and released a statement in the name of Wan Qi. She said that this runway show was just for a friend, and that she had no intention of returning to the fashion industry. The craze slowly subsided. Chapter 132. Tsinghua Film City. As the largest film and television base in the country, there were fans waiting for their idol's schedule here almost every day. Ming Shujia wore sunglasses and walked over slowly with her assistant. Many people knew she was a celebrity based on her outfit. They looked at her with interest, but when they realized they didn't know her, they turned back out of boredom. Ming Shujia bit her lips in embarrassment. She comforted herself. One day, I won't be like this anymore. It's Wan Qi. Qi, I love you. When she was about to enter, she heard many people exclaiming in low voices. She stopped in her tracks, turned around, and saw an extremely tall woman get out of the nanny van. The fans who had ignored her before now surrounded her, as if they had won the lottery one by one. Qi, please take a picture with me. I brought you a gift. Your Majesty, I've been waiting here for more than 10 days since I heard you were going to shoot a movie. Gu Xingyin was familiar with this situation. She patiently took a picture with the fans. As for the gifts, Chun Rong would choose which ones she should accept and which she shouldn't. Gu Xingyin felt someone's gaze on her. She looked over and saw a figure leaving. Ming Shujia? The system told her before. Ming Shujia got a supporting role in Divinity. It seemed that she was here to prepare for the shoot. Gu Xingyin smiled. She knew that Ming Shujia was a narrow-minded person who thought highly of herself. She always felt that she wasn't famous enough because she hadn't met a director who appreciated her. For people like Wan Kui, she was envious of their natural good looks. On the other hand, she despised them for relying on their looks to make a living. Unfortunately, her current role was something she had exchanged for with her own body. She didn't know where her sense of superiority came from. When Gu Xingyin came to the set, almost all the actors stood up. Even Li Fengyun greeted her with a smile. An actress like Wan Qi had good looks, excellent acting skills, and a high status. Most importantly, she didn't put on airs. Which director wouldn't like such an easygoing actress? Ming Shujia looked at those popular artists smiling in front of Wan Qi. She looked at director Li and Wan Qi, who had been talking and laughing since she came in. She looked at the group of people accompanying Wan Qi's assistant. The stars revolved around the moon. Ever since he came to this body, what was it that he had been trying so hard to obtain? Wasn't it all because of the status and the sense of superiority of being the moon surrounded by the stars? Gu Xingyin saw Ming Shujia walk up to her with a shy smile. Hello, Sister Kai. I'm Ming Shujia, a newcomer. Nice to meet you. Even if she, Ming Shujia, had been struggling in the entertainment industry for so long, she was just an 18th-tier celebrity. In front of Wan Kai, wasn't she just a newcomer? Gu Xingyin glanced at her. He had to admit that Ming Shujia's temperament was just like her name. Clear, sweet, innocent, and harmless. Just by looking at her appearance, no one would think that she would force herself to accompany a man who was 1 or 2 rounds older than her in order to climb up the social ladder. Sure enough, one couldn't judge a book by its cover. Gu Xingyin returned her smile. She knew that Ming Shujia had put a lot of effort into this movie. She hoped that she could rely on this movie to make a comeback. In fact, she had done it in the original plot. However, the one acting with her now was Gu Xingyin. Ming Shujia wanted to finish this movie so smoothly, but it still depended on whether Gu Xingyin agreed. Chapter 133. Divinity told the story of the primordial era, where humans, demons, goblins, and other races fought for luck and resources. They fought and killed each other, causing the world to be filled with misery. That era was treacherous, and everyone had strong spiritual power. They killed without restraint, angering the laws, and even sending down heavenly punishment as a warning. However, the races that were in a killing frenzy couldn't stop. If they continued, all the races would disappear under the heavenly punishment. In the end, the queen of the goblins, Shen-Yin, used the goblin's treasure, the star compass, as a guide and sacrificed herself to cast a curse, dissipating the spiritual power of the humans, robbing the intelligence of the goblins, and banishing the demons to the other side of the endless abyss. As for the goblins, they lost the right to set foot on this land forever. They built a beautiful city in the 9 heavens, but could only look at their homeland with melancholy. Gu Xingyin was playing the role of the queen of the goblins, Shen-Yin. Ming Shujia was playing the role of the spirit of the star compass, Shen Yin's magical weapon. As a magical weapon with its own consciousness, the star compass was arrogant and naive. In the entire continent, it only obeyed the orders of its master, the queen of the goblins, Shen-Yin. This role wasn't easy to play. Director Li originally wanted to find a popular actress with better acting skills to play this role, but Ming Shujia's financial backer had invested a large sum of money in the crew, so he agreed to let her play this role. However, if Ming Shujia's acting skills were really bad, Director Li wouldn't mind changing the role again. The whole morning's filming went smoothly. At noon, after everyone had lunch, they rested for a while and started filming again. Ming Shujia was a little nervous. In the afternoon, there was a scene between the star compass and the queen. Xing, you went to tease your people again? Gu Xingyin's face was dignified. Although there was a hint of reproach in her tone, there was also a hint of doting as she looked at the spirit of the star compass. Those guys are all so cowardly. Ming Shujia was suddenly at a loss for words. She clearly remembered her lines and this scene wasn't difficult, but for some reason, under Gu Xingyin's calm gaze, she couldn't say anything. Cut. Again. Director Li frowned and looked at Ming Shujia, but he didn't say anything. They all know that you're the artifact spirit of a divine artifact, so they deliberately let you have your way. You are already several tens of thousands of years old. Why are you still so mischievous? Ming Shujia said subconsciously, Humph. Who asked them to yield? If I were to make a move, they would all fall one by one. Cut. Ming Shujia, what about your feelings? I'm not asking you to read your lines. You're acting. Your expression makes me feel like you're reading the text. Director Li was a little angry. This scene actually didn't require much acting skills. If Ming Shujia couldn't even pass this, there was no need to talk about the rest of the scenes. It's not like this. It shouldn't be like this. Ming Shujia was very confused. She knew that her level was not limited to this. When she was at home, she had repeatedly practiced in front of the mirror countless times. There was no such thing as forgetting her lines or blanking out. I'm sorry, Director Li. I'll be careful. She sincerely apologized to Director Li, then smiled apologetically at Gu Xingyin. Sister Kai, I'll have to trouble you. Gu Xingyin smiled indifferently. Prepare well first. Don't be impatient. Ming Shujia took a deep breath. Finally, this scene was over. She subconsciously looked at Gu Xingyin. The other party just smiled at her. Chapter 134. Host, you're so bad, the system said to Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin took a bottle of water from the assistant and slowly took a sip. From the corner of her eye, she saw Ming Shujia reading the script. The system was speechless. Gu Xingyin was suppressing Ming Shujia. Ming Shujia's acting skills were not bad, but she was still far from Gu Xingyin's ability. If Gu Xingyin really wanted to suppress her, she could definitely make her unable to say a word. However, that would be too obvious. Gu Xingyin only used a little trick to maintain a level where Director Li couldn't see through it, and Ming Shujia was clearly affected. Probably because Ruan Qi's reputation was too good, and there had never been any rumors of her suppressing a newcomer, no one suspected her. Even Ming Shujia herself put the blame on herself. It was also Gu Xingyin's intention to film the last scene. If she kept suppressing Ming Shujia, with Director Li's temper, it was very likely that he would directly replace her. Although she had achieved her goal, wouldn't it be a lot less fun? She looked at Ming Shujia, who was frowning. It made her feel unbearable pain, but at the same time, she still had a glimmer of hope. She was like a drowning person holding on to a piece of driftwood. In the end, it was useless to let her find out. Even if she held on to the piece of driftwood, it was a vast ocean with few people. Even if she didn't drown, she would die of thirst or starvation. There was no chance of survival. This way, when she finally found out, she would be even more desperate and in pain. Ming Shujia, aren't you very good at trampling people under your feet and never letting them turn over? Then let's let you have a taste of this feeling as well. The system, which was familiar with the host's thoughts, silently lit a candle for Ming Shujia. When they were done, Gu Xingyin, who came out of the fitting room, heard a few staff members whispering, I wonder what he's here for. Oh my God, he's so handsome up close. She already had a guess in her heart. Sure enough, when he walked out, he saw a tall man standing beside Director Li, talking to him in a low voice. Kai. Ludwig saw her and revealed a handsome smile. Gu Xingyin heard the sound of saliva being swallowed behind her. She secretly glared at the man who was attracting bees and butterflies. She walked over and asked in surprise, Director Li and Ludwig know each other? Ludwig smiled and said, I'm a fan of Director Li's films. I have all of Director Li's films in my collection. What are you doing here? Gu Xingyin asked. Firstly, I heard that Director Li is filming here, so I came over to meet my idol, Ludwig said in all seriousness. Secondly, Ludwig glanced at her. I thought you knew. Director Li looked at the two of them with a smile, and instantly understood what Ludwig meant. He looked at Gu Xingyin and teased, I've never heard of you having a close relationship with a man. So it's because you're hiding it too well? Gu Xingyin hurriedly said. Director Lee, don't misunderstand. It's not what you think it is. Ludwig didn't care. Kai is right. We're just friends for now. But I'm pursuing her. If our relationship changes one day, I'll definitely thank you. Gu Xingyin was too lazy to talk nonsense with him and walked away. Ludwig hurriedly said goodbye to Director Lee and chased after her. Chapter 135. The next day, the news of Ruan Kai and supermodel Ludovic's relationship hit the headlines. However, neither of them had any intention of answering this question, and the media couldn't find them. Host, when do you plan to accept Ludovic's pursuit? The system asked curiously. Gu Xingyin was painting her nails. She glanced at the system and said, "That depends on my mood." The system didn't understand. The host clearly liked her lover. Why didn't she get together with him when she already knew his identity? Gu Xingyin didn't want to explain to the system what it meant to be tsundere. As the treasure of the Protoss, you should know that the star compass is related to the fate of the Protoss. If it falls into the hands of others, the consequences will be severe. Divine Sound Queen's face was frosty. She slammed her hand on the table and stood up, looking sternly at Xing Luo's weapon spirit in front of her. In this scene, Xing Luo's weapon spirit was about to sneak out of the Protoss forbidden area to play, but was discovered by Divine Sound Queen and enraged. Ming Shujia knew that she should refute, but Gu Xingyin was in a rage, and she couldn't say a word. Director Lee didn't look at Ming Shujia kindly. Gu Xingyin's aura, expression, and body language were all on point. He almost couldn't help but cheer. Who knew that when it came to Ming Shujia it would be cut? Anyone would be furious. Again, as the treasure of the Protoss, you should know that the star compass is related to the fate of the Protoss. If it falls into the hands of others, the consequences will be severe. Ming Shujia was so anxious that she was about to cry, but she really couldn't say anything. This time, before Director Lee got angry, she took the initiative to apologize. "Director Lee, please give me another chance." Her tone was very humble. She knew that if her performance displeased the director, with his temper, it was very likely that he would replace her. Director Lee gave her a chance, but Ming Shujia didn't take it. Cut. This scene will be paused for now. Could you go and rest? Zhang Qiao, Su Ruyun, you two get ready for the next scene. Director Lee pointed at the two actors standing on the other side. He turned to Ming Shujia and said, "Think about the script for me for the next 2 days. 2 days later, I'll let you try again. If you can't do it, you don't have to come again." Ming Shujia bit her lips and nodded. She walked over to Gu Xingyin and said, "Sister Kai, can I trouble you to help me practice my acting for the next 2 days?" As soon as she said that, the actors who were preparing next to her looked over in disbelief. Who did Ming Shujia think she was? She actually dared to ask the award-winning Best Actress to practice with her? Gu Xingyin was also surprised. It seemed that Ming Shujia really had nowhere to go, but helping a small-time actress rehearse. Ruan Qi wasn't that cheap, and she wasn't prepared to raise Ming Shujia's value like that. "I'm really sorry. I have scenes for the next 2 days, and I have a job to do tomorrow afternoon. I'm afraid I don't have time." Gu Xingyin smiled very politely, and her rejection was also very swift. After Gu Xingyin got up and left, someone next to her sneered, "Some people, just because they found a sugar daddy, they really think they have a lot of face? You want the award-winning Best Actress to practice with you? Do you know how much Sister Kai is worth?" The fact that Ming Shujia got in through the back door wasn't a secret in the crew. Although she was low-key and worked hard during this time, a few actors still couldn't stand her. Ming Shujia lowered her head, and her nails dug into her palms, letting the piercing pain stimulate her emotions. "These people looking down on me one day, I'll make you regret it." Chapter 136. When Gu Xingyin saw Ming Shujia again, she was obviously shocked. The Ming Shujia in front of her was pale, and even her makeup couldn't hide her haggard expression. It seemed that she hadn't been living comfortably for the past 2 days. After all, she had paid such a high price to get the role. If it was replaced because of her, she wouldn't be able to accept it. How pitiful. Gu Xingyin sighed. The system felt a sense of crisis. It was just about to remind the host not to be fooled by Ming Shujia's appearance when Gu Xingyin continued. I really want to see her even more pitiful. Gu Xingyin sighed. System. It was obvious that Ming Shujia had worked very hard for the past 2 days, but it was useless. Cut. Director Li frowned and called for a stop. He said to Ming Shujia, I've already made myself clear 2 days ago. You can go now. Don't come back tomorrow. Ming Shujia's face was pale. She was almost crying as she begged Director Li to give her another chance. However, Director Li was obviously used to such situations. He wasn't moved at all. He just asked the stage supervisor to take her away. No one spoke up to plead for her. Ming Shujia looked at everyone present one by one. One day there would be someone like this. These people would kneel at her feet and beg her in tears like today. If Gu Xingyin knew what she was thinking, she would definitely ask, Where did you get your confidence from? Ming Shujia's role was eventually taken over by a rather famous actress with solid acting skills. There weren't any more mistakes and Director Li's expression relaxed. In the following days, Gu Xingyin ran between the set and home every day. Other than Ludwig, who persistently called her every day to harass her, she was so busy that she didn't have time to talk to anyone else. Until the movie was finished. It's finally over. Su Ruyun, who was in the same crew, let out a long sigh of relief. Everyone was deeply moved. The movie Divinity involved a lot of battle scenes. Not only did the actors have to hang from wires, but there were also many scenes where they had to roll around in the water and on the ground. Director Li also revealed a smile. Today is the Cloud Sky Hotel. It's my treat. Oh. Director Li is indeed generous. The next night, the entire crew arrived at the Cloud Sky Hotel. Cheers. I wish you all the best at the box office. One by one, the drunkards were brought home by their respective managers. Gu Xingyin slept for several days before she felt that she was finally alive again. Of course, she was mainly shocked by a piece of news. The young master of Exploding Star Entertainment has a new lover. Star Entertainment's young master Yu Xiang Xinhuan knows about Xu Jia's past. Gu Xingyin commented as she watched. This woman Ming Shujia is really an unkillable cockroach. Her past has already been exposed, yet she still managed to hook up with the young master of Star Entertainment. Whether it was Yu Xiang who didn't care about her past or Ming Shujia who made Yu Xiang believe that those reports were false, it proved that this woman had extraordinary means. Sure enough, Wan Qi saw Ming Shujia in the company the next day. Compared to a few days ago, Ming Shujia's entire temperament was different. Gu Xingyin glanced at her. She was dressed from head to toe in big brands, and the makeup on her face was exquisite and appropriate. Where was the haggard look from before? Chapter 137. Sister Kai. Ming Shujia took the initiative to greet Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin smiled faintly at her. Ming Shujia pretended to caress the hair on her right cheek carelessly. When she moved, the exquisite lady's watch on her wrist was revealed. It was a limited edition lady's watch from CM, worth 7 figures. Gu Xingyin followed her wishes and her gaze paused on the watch. Ming Shujia smiled happily. Sister Kai, have you seen this watch before? Gu Xingyin revealed a perfect smile. Before I entered the film industry, I was CM's global spokesperson. Now I still have many custom-made watches at home. Ming Shujia's face suddenly turned ugly. She originally wanted to show off, but she didn't expect to be slapped in the face. I still have something to do, Sister Kai. I'll leave first. She asked for a snub, so of course she didn't want to stay here. Chen Rong curled her lips in disdain at Gu Xingyin. This Ming Shujia hasn't gained a firm foothold yet, but she can't wait to show off. She won't be able to achieve great things. Gu Xingyin didn't think so. In the original plot, Ming Shujia wasn't like this. Now perhaps because she had suffered too many blows, she couldn't wait to prove herself. Let's go. Ming Shujia walked out of the door and saw Yu Xiang waiting at the side. Yu Xiang was a famous playboy in the entertainment industry. As the young master of Star Entertainment, at least half of the female artists in Star Entertainment had been involved in scandals with him. Of course, Yu Xiang was quite a gentleman. He paid attention to mutual consent. If they were really unwilling, he would never force them. Xiang. Ming Shujia called out sweetly. But he didn't hug her like he usually did. Xiang, what's wrong? Ming Shujia was puzzled. You went to find Wan Qi today? Yu Xiang looked at her with an unfathomable expression. He was undoubtedly good-looking. He was the kind of handsome that showed off his abilities. When he smiled, he had a mischievous look that was very popular with girls. But at this moment, when his face darkened, it was somewhat frightening. Ming Shujia revealed a sweet smile. It's just that I received Sister Kai's care on the set before, so I went to say hello. Yu Xiang sneered. Ming Shujia, don't show off your little tricks in front of me. Who is Wan Qi? Even I have to be polite to her. You're just a woman who relied on me to gain a foothold in star entertainment, so what right do you have to show off in front of her? I'm warning you, I don't care how you want to play, but remember, don't have any ideas about her. Ming Shujia's face was pale. After a while, she gave an ugly smile. I know. Seeing her like this, Yu Xiang chuckled again. That's right. If you're obedient, I'll naturally give you what you want. Ming Shujia obediently leaned into his arms, hiding her resentful gaze in his arms. The next day, Gu Xingyin had nothing to do, so she turned off the alarm and fell asleep. Until the sound of the doorbell woke her up. Who is it? She didn't tidy up, so there weren't many people who knew that she lived in this apartment. The door opened, revealing Ludwig's handsome face. Ludwig looked at the woman in front of him with messy hair and sleepy eyes. He only felt that she was indescribably cute. What's the matter? Gu Xingyin closed the door and poured a glass of water for Ludwig. I'm leaving country Z. Ludwig held the glass and looked at her. Chapter 138. Gu Xingyin immediately woke up from his sleepiness. She glanced at Ludwig and calmly said, I'll go wash up first. Soon, she walked out and the two of them sat face to face. Hey, you know how I feel about you. Ludwig looked at her seriously. I hope you can accept me. Gu Xingyin glanced at him. Indeed, Ludwig had done enough in the past 6 months. Gu Xingyin tilted her head and looked at him. Then you said you like me. What kind of like is it? Ludwig looked at Gu Xingyin in disbelief. What did she mean? Of course it's like I want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you. No, it's love. I love you. Ludwig said affectionately. Gu Xingyin looked at him with some disdain. I can't see your sincerity. Ludwig was a little anxious. No, Kay, I swear, my heart is absolutely loyal to you. I'm not afraid of being laughed at by you. But before you, I've never been moved by any woman, and I don't know how to pursue a girl. Maybe I'm not good enough, but you have to believe in my feelings for you. Gu Xingyin quietly listened to him and didn't say anything. Ludwig felt that he had never been so nervous. He stared at Gu Xingyin, hoping that she would open her mouth to reply to his words, but he was afraid to hear a heartless rejection from those red lips. Gu Xingyin saw that he had been teased enough and finally decided to show mercy and let him go. She frowned in confusion. Is that so? But I heard that when people confess, they have to kneel on one knee and give the ring. Ludwig spent 2 seconds laughing at the meaning behind Gu Xingyin's words. Then he stood up almost ecstatically, hugged Gu Xingyin and kissed her. Wait here, I'll ask them to send the ring over in the afternoon. For the rest of the day, Ludwig stayed in Gu Xingyin's apartment. The two of them sat together quietly, occasionally chatting and kissing. When the doorbell rang, Ludwig was wearing an apron and making dinner for Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin got up to open the door. It was an unknown blonde foreigner with closed eyes. Who are you? Gu Xingyin asked cautiously. Ludwig walked out. Don't worry, I asked him to come over. Gu Xingyin noticed that the man's expression seemed to twist when he saw Ludwig wearing an apron. The man handed a box to Ludwig. The two of them whispered a few words, and the foreign man left. Kai, go to the bedroom and stay there. Come out in 10 minutes, Ludwig said to her. Having guessed what the man was going to do, Gu Xingyin obediently walked into the bedroom, until Ludwig called for her to come out. There was an exquisite dinner on the table, but what attracted Gu Xingyin was the man standing at the table. He held a bouquet of delicate roses in his arms, and looked at her affectionately. Because of time constraints, I can't give you a perfect proposal. Ludwig was obviously a little guilty. But I can't wait any longer, Kai. He knelt down on one knee and slowly extended a hand to Gu Xingyin. In his hand, there was a simple jewelry box. Inside, there was a gorgeous emerald ring that shone brightly. Chapter 139. So, the rings of the Gardner family heirs will be divided into a pair. Ludwig looked at Gu Xingyin. Kui, are you willing to be the future mistress of the Gardner family? Gu Xingyin's answer was to extend his hand with a smile. Ludwig excitedly put it on for her. Then, he stood up and kissed her fiercely. Both of them were a little out of breath. Ludwig hugged Gu Xingyin and pressed his forehead against hers. I know that today's proposal is really hard on you. Kui, just you wait. I will definitely give you the grandest wedding. Gu Xingyin looked at him and smiled. You should know that I don't care about this. But I care. Ludwig looked at her seriously. In my heart, you deserve the best. Gu Xingyin took a picture of the food with her phone and posted it on Weibo. In the picture, there was a pair of hands clasped together with a sentence. Love dinner, please bless us. Smile. Of course, she didn't take the picture of the ring. She wasn't afraid of publicizing their relationship, but Ludwig stopped her. Wait a moment. When I go back this time, I will start preparing for our wedding. Give me a month. After a month, I will come to Z country and announce our marriage with you. I don't want anyone to question our relationship. Gu Xingyin chose to believe him, and was a little touched. This man was really trying his best to give her the best care. Wang Qi's Weibo immediately exploded. Oh my god, I was caught off guard. I'm full of dog food. Is today April Fool's Day? Your Majesty, who is that man? Who is that man? Although the goddess is in love and not with me, I still wish her the best. Although the goddess is in love and not with me, I still wish her the best. Although the goddess is in love and not with me, I still wish her the best. I just want to know who that lucky man is. Ah. Upstairs I want to know too. Ah. Gu Xingyin soon received a call from Chen Rong. You two are together. Chen Rong's voice was very certain. She had always known that Ludwig was pursuing Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin gave her an affirmative answer. Chen Rong took a deep breath. Fortunately, she was prepared for this and was not caught off guard. In less than an hour, the news of movie queen Wang Qi announces her relationship became the trending topic. Almost everyone was guessing who the owner of the hand that was intertwined with Wang Qi's was. Fan guesses included Fang Ming, Zhang Qiao, and the others who had been a couple with her before. Ludwig was also guessed by netizens, but everyone was just guessing casually. After Gu Xingyin was severely punished by a jealous man, she had no choice but to post another Weibo. Everyone, don't make wild guesses. He's not from the entertainment industry. When the time is right, I'll tell everyone. She was trying to change the meaning of her words. She was referring to someone who was not in the entertainment industry. When people read her words, they would subconsciously replace it with the word entertainment industry. This way, it would be even more difficult to guess who the man was. Ludwig left after accompanying her for dinner. He had returned to the country this time to deal with something, so he had to leave the next day. On the 20th day of Ludwig's departure from Z country, Divinity began screening. It was like an unstoppable hurricane. Divinity quickly occupied everyone's attention with an unstoppable momentum, and even swept the world. Chapter 140. At the celebration banquet for Divinity. In fact, even director Li Fengyan didn't expect that Divinity would be so popular. The top management of Star Entertainment came. As the biggest investor of this movie, Star Entertainment was undoubtedly the biggest winner. Gu Xingyin wasn't bad either. Not to mention how high her salary was. In the original agreement, she had a 5% share of the box office. It was estimated that she would get 9 figures. Moreover, as the first female lead of Divinity, and the soul of the whole movie, she almost stole everyone's limelight today. Ming Shujia also appeared at this banquet. But her identity was Yu Xiang's female companion. With her status, it was not her turn to be at this kind of occasion. Gu Xingyin shuttled among the major investors, smiling like a flower and clinking glasses with people. Ming Shujia saw the investor who introduced her to the crew of divinity. He was smiling kindly, holding a glass of champagne and raising his glass to Gu Xingyin. Miss Ruan is about the same age as my daughter. She is still a little girl who only cares about all kinds of famous brands. Miss Ruan has already made such a big career. She is really young and promising. Gu Xingyin politely clinked glasses with him. Miss Yuan is naive and romantic. Mr. Yuan is lucky. His words made everyone laugh heartily. The businessman surnamed Yuan turned his head and saw Ming Shujia. He seemed surprised. Looking at Yu Xiang beside her, he showed a meaningful smile. Ming Shujia pretended not to see it. She looked at Gu Xingyin, who was graceful and decent in the crowd. They were the same age, but she was already deep in the mud, dealing with all kinds of men just to give herself a chance to stand out. But what about Ruanqi? Even if she stayed at home and did nothing, there would be a lot of big productions that others couldn't even imagine. They would invite her. Whether she participated or not depended on her mood. She accompanied the men she didn't like and pretended to be polite, but Ruanqi could show her love so generously. Why? She finally had a chance to start over. Did she come to Ming Shujia's body to compare herself to others' glory and see her misery? Yu Xiang saw her eyes on Ruanqi and pulled her aside. What are you thinking? Don't think you can hide it well. The jealousy in your eyes is about to burst out. He scoffed and warned her. Let me tell you, there are many people in the entertainment industry who are jealous of Ruanqi. But until now no one has been able to surpass her. The two of you are not from the same world to begin with. It's best that you put away your petty thoughts. After that, he ignored her and walked toward an investor. Gu Xingyin felt a little dizzy. She had drunk a little too much tonight. Hearing this voice, she frowned without batting an eyelid. Zhou Chuancheng, the scumbag in the original plot who colluded with Ming Shujia and set her up to marry Ruanqi, but didn't cherish her. Of course, at this moment, he was still the rich man who was chasing after Gu Xingyin. Mr. Zhou, we're not that close. Gu Xingyin corrected him. Please call me Miss Ruan. Zhou Chuancheng felt very defeated. He thought that he was handsome and rich, and he had always been successful in love. The first time he saw Ruanqi, he was deeply attracted by this woman's special temperament. However, it had been nearly a year. No matter how he tried to please her, this woman still didn't give him any face. Chapter 141. Because Gu Xingyin did not cooperate, there was not much to talk about between them. Gu Xingyin turned to leave, but because of dizziness, her steps were unsteady and she accidentally stepped on the hem of her skirt. Be careful. Zhou Chuancheng certainly would not let go of this opportunity and hugged her tightly. Gu Xingyin struggled out of his arms at the same time as she stood up. Thank you, Mr. Zhou. Yin Biao nodded and turned to leave. Zhou Chuancheng was left alone in the same place, and there seemed to be a lingering fragrance between his breaths. Gu Xingyin did not take this matter to heart. However, when she saw the report the next day, she knew that she had been defamed. A set of photos of herself and Zhou Chuancheng was posted online. The first one was the scene where she almost fell and was hugged by him yesterday. The angle of the photo was cleverly chosen. People who did not know the truth would think that the two of them were hugging each other affectionately. There were more than 10 photos following one after another, all of which were pictures of Ruanqi and Zhou Chuancheng together. Gu Xingyin looked at the photos and wanted to praise the photographer's skills. Obviously, there was nothing ambiguous in the photos, but with the combination of the photos and a very suggestive article, it was as if Gu Xingyin and Zhou Chuancheng had been intimate for a long time. The man behind movie queen Ruanqi. The truth. Ruanqi and young Master Zhou have been in a secret relationship for many years. Dig up Ruanqi's love history. Gu Xingyin was a little confused. What was this person's purpose? Just to spread a rumor about her? Chen Rong obviously did not guess the other party's purpose. Of course, she knew that Gu Xingyin and Zhou Chuancheng had nothing to do with each other. If there was anything, it was just the man's unrequited love. She even called Gu Xingyin to comfort her. Don't worry, this kind of groundless report won't cause any trouble. However, just as the public relations of Star Entertainment released a statement saying that this was a false story, new revelations appeared on the internet. Ruanqi you don't know about. Big news. Just the title of the post was enough to attract people's attention. The original poster used the news about Ruan Kui and Zhou Chuanqing as a starting point, and linked it to the Weibo post that Gu Xingyin had posted not long ago. From that report, we can see that movie Queen Ruan and the young master of the Zhou Corporation have maintained an intimate relationship for at least a year. There must be many netizens who have guessed that movie Queen Ruan posted a photo on Weibo not long ago. Could it be the same person? Please analyze it for everyone. Then the OP who claimed to be the informant started to dig up information in a very professional tone. He even made a list of Zhou Chuanqing's itinerary. In the end, he came to the conclusion that the man in Ruan Qi's photo with their fingers interlocked was definitely not Zhou Chuanqing. In that case, Ruan Qi was two-timing? This didn't match her usual image in the rumors. Haha, the original poster just saw that Star Entertainment's public relations has already released a statement saying that movie Queen Ruan and young Master Zhou have no intimate relationship. However, until now, I haven't seen any statement from the Zhou Corporation. Then, can the original poster understand that young Master Zhou has silently admitted to this matter? The original poster didn't stop there. He wrote a lot more after that, saying that Ruan Qi's private life was very messy before she became famous. She had a few boyfriends in the fashion industry and so on. He couldn't wait to expose Ruan Qi's 18 generations of ancestors. Once the post was posted, it caused a huge commotion. Chapter 142. Although the post was quickly deleted by Star Entertainment, it caused a huge reaction. Many fans ran to Ruan Qi's Weibo to curse, saying that they had been cheated of their feelings. Gu Xingyin browsed through the comments. There were definitely paid posters, but there were definitely a lot of fans. These people, yesterday they said that they would love you forever, but today they turned their backs and called you **tch. Gu Xingyin thought that if the real Ruan Qi saw these words, how sad would she be? Chen Rong came over early to accompany her. Seeing her sitting there thinking about something, she thought that her mood was affected and comforted her. Don't think too much. The company's public relations team has already done their best. This matter will be resolved. Her voice turned cold as she said, "Someone must be defaming you behind the scenes. If I can't find out who it is, just wait for Star Entertainment's anger." Star Entertainment acted quickly. They released a statement saying that in Yanming's previous post, the rumors about Ruan Kui in the fashion industry and her private life were all false. Those so-called photos were all photoshopped products. They also stated that the original poster of the post had damaged the reputation of Star Entertainment's employees. They would submit a lawyer's letter to the court. However, the public's main concern was not answered. After Ruan Qi posted the photo of her holding hands with her lover, there were also photos of her and Zhou Chuanqing being intimate. Star Entertainment denied it, but Zhou Chuanqing did not say anything. Star Entertainment's public relations team had contacted Zhou Chuanqing, but he refused to clarify the matter. If I hadn't experienced this, I wouldn't have known that Zhou Chuanqing was such a person. Chen Rong gritted her teeth in anger. He seemed like a good person before, but he's not even willing to help. Gu Xingyin was obviously calmer than her. After all, she already knew what kind of person Zhou Chuanqing was. At this time, Gu Xingyin received a call from Ludwig. "Kui, such a big thing happened. Why didn't you tell me?" Gu Xingyin said with a smile. "You are abroad. What can you do if I tell you?" Ludwig heard her calm voice, as if she wasn't affected by public opinion. Only then did he feel relieved. "No matter what, you've suffered so much, and I'm not by your side. This is not a qualified boyfriend." Gu Xingyin chuckled and exchanged a few words with him. The other party seemed to be a little busy, so she hung up the phone. "Is it Ludwig?" Chen Rong asked. Gu Xingyin nodded. Chen Rong was originally a little worried, but when she saw Gu Xingyin's smile, she knew that Ludwig hadn't distanced himself from her because of this matter. She couldn't help but worship her idol even more. This was a real man. Little did she know that her idol had yet to become even more manly. Just as the entire entertainment industry was in an uproar, and there were even anti-fans who were clamoring for the Ruan **tch to get out of the entertainment industry, a statement shocked the entire Z country's entertainment industry. "He is from Ludwig. I'm Ludwig Gardner, Kai's boyfriend. No, very soon, my identity will become her husband. In response to the public opinion on the internet, my response is that my legal team has already drafted a lawyer's letter to all media outlets that have maliciously slandered my lover. I hope that you will delete the relevant false rumors within 24 hours. Otherwise, we will meet in court. Kai and I have a very good relationship, and we are already preparing to get married. Furthermore, I have absolute confidence that my lover only loves me. I hope that everyone will stop discussing this matter. Thank you. Chapter 143. Ludwig's statement undoubtedly injected a new wave of energy into the fans who were still bitterly defending their idols. Ah, it's Ludwig. My idol is so handsome. A wave of PDA in the middle of the night. Although I was abused, I still want to say, well done. Hee, let's see if those mad dogs will still come out and bite people. I was originally on Feng Kui's side, but after seeing Ludwig's statement, I think I've fallen for him. A man who stands up for his woman at a critical moment is a real man. Above, Ludwig is a real man. Hee, who would be stupid enough to want a woman like Feng Kui? Above, you never brush your teeth. Why is your mouth so smelly? Curse your entire family. Less than 2 hours after the statement was posted, Ludwig arrived at Gu Xingyin's apartment. Why are you here? Gu Xingyin looked at him. The man's eyes were obviously bruised. It was obvious that he hadn't rested well on the way here. How could I leave you here alone? Ludwig reached out and hugged her. Sorry I'm late. Chen Rong tactfully retreated, not wanting to disturb the two. Gu Xingyin stayed in Ludwig's arms, feeling the corners of her eyes sting. To be honest, this situation didn't defeat her. What really moved her was this man's attitude. The person who truly cares about you is not the number of expensive gifts he can give you, but the fact that when you are being criticized, he is the first to stand up and protect you. To everyone's surprise, not long after Ludwig's statement was posted, Zhou Chuancheng also released a statement, stating that there was no ambiguous relationship between him and Feng Kui. He also revealed the truth of the photo. At the same time, a few celebrities who claim to be insiders also released statements, saying that they were there and could testify that Feng Kui accidentally stepped on her skirt and almost fell. Zhou Chuancheng was kind enough to help her up. Someone even anonymously posted a set of photos, showing the scene of Feng Kui falling. The only difference was that the angle of the photo was different, but the truth was clear. The rumors about Feng Kui having a foot in two boats were easily resolved. Although there were still a few anti-fans jumping around, no one cared about them anymore. Did you do this? Gu Xingyin looked at the man who was peeling fruit for her. Ludwig handed her the peeled apple. I just sent an email to the Zhou Corporation in the name of the Gardner family. This man. Gu Xingyin took a bite of the apple. It was so sweet. Feng Kui's Weibo account had a new update. This time he didn't hide it. In the small photo frame, Ludwig and Feng Kui were intimately snuggled together. Their intertwined hands also appeared in the camera, and the emeralds on their ring fingers shone brightly. The benefits of a dog with a face. I'm taking this painting away. F***ck, the ring lit up. Have the two of them really reached this stage? F***ck, the ring lit up. Such a big emerald. How much did it cost? F***ck, the ring lit up. Upstairs, you can go online and search for the Gardner family. Am I the only one who noticed that Ludwig was clearly in D country the day before? And now he's already beside Her Majesty. I noticed it too. So considerate, so sweet. I'll drink this bowl of dog food. F***ck, I just searched for the Gardner family. Is he really from the Gardner family? No, I have to go downstairs and run 2 laps to calm down. I wish you happiness. Chapter 144. Just as Ludwig had said, their wedding took place quickly. Feng Kui's parents were quite satisfied with their son-in-law, even though they were a little resentful that their daughter had kept it from them. The old man was a good judge of character. He could tell that this man cherished Yan Zhouyi's every move. Young people, as long as you're happy, that's good. Their wedding was held in a very high profile. Originally, the two of them wanted to hold their wedding in a low-key manner. However, Ruan Kui had encountered such an incident, and Ludwig did not want anyone to make an issue out of their wedding. As a result, the netizens who watched the entire live broadcast learned something new. Oh my god, that's the supermodel Lilith Bitter. Ball Queen Beyoncé. The two people upstairs are nothing. Can't you see that the first person sitting on the left of the VIP seats is the Foreign Affairs Minister of Country D? I don't understand. Where is this place? In the Cathedral of the Holy Sun, the person who witnessed their marriage was an archbishop who was personally appointed by the Pope. Ah, there's a type of wedding called someone else's wedding. There's a type of wedding called someone else's wedding plus one. A few days ago, didn't an A-list celebrity broadcast a video of a so-called luxurious wedding? Haha, compared to him he's nothing. Her Majesty the Queen looks so beautiful in her wedding dress. So beautiful. So beautiful. So beautiful. Mommy asked me why my face is so close to the screen. Miss Ruan Kui, are you willing to? The kind-looking bishop read the marriage vows solemnly. I'm willing, Ruan Kui said clearly. She looked deeply at the man in front of her. It was not the first time she had held a wedding with this man, but every time, it could bring her a new feeling of gratitude. I love you. The murmured words disappeared between their lips. All the guests applauded at the same time, giving their blessings to the newlyweds. Damn it, it was such a happy scene, but I actually cried when I saw it. Me too upstairs. I think Her Majesty the Queen really doesn't have it easy. I'm crying too. I wish them happiness for the rest of their lives. May they be happy all their lives. Just when everyone was speculating whether Ruan Kui, who had married into a super-rich family, would quit the entertainment industry, Gu Xingyin posted her honeymoon photos. Every time the two of them appeared in different places, the only thing that remained the same was the happy smile on their faces. Gu Xingyin released a statement saying that she loved acting and would not quit the entertainment industry, but would focus more on her family in the future. Just like that, she continued to release one movie after another. Many people were maliciously guessing when the two of them would get divorced, and waiting for their scandals. After all, it was not uncommon for such a celebrity to have a miserable life after marrying into a rich family. However, Gu Xingyin and Ludwig disappointed them. No matter if it was the first year, the second year, or the 10th year, people would always see the two of them hugging each other happily. In the end, no one doubted their feelings. Everyone silently wished that this couple could be together forever, and never leave each other. Gu Xingyin smiled happily when she left. She had been in love with her husband all her life. When she was old, she had children and grandchildren. As a woman, she was undoubtedly the object of envy. She did not feel sad at all. She even said to the white-haired Ludwig, "Don't feel reluctant to part with me. God will let us meet again." Yes, they would meet again. Their fate would never stop. Chapter 145. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. In the shabby studio, a man with messy hair and a cigarette in his mouth was yelling, "Hurry up, Ming Shujia. What are you dawdling for?" Ming Shujia was just a little slow and was scolded by the man. She stood up numbly. She had heavy makeup on her face and wore a vulgar red dress. If someone were to look at her, no one would be able to recognize that she was the pure and lovely Ming Shujia of the past. She was now a famous porn star in the otaku circle. In layman's terms, she was a low-class artist who relied on selling her body to gain attention. Where's your expression? Aren't you being tortured? Ming Shujia, don't you want to film anymore? The man with the cigarette stood up and yelled, "Do you still think you're the woman of the Prince of Star Entertainment? Act well for me. If it weren't for your pretty face, I would have changed you a long time ago." Ming Shujia finished a day of filming like a zombie and returned to the small apartment she rented in exhaustion. She turned on the TV and saw the trailer of Ruan Kui's new movie. Ever since she got married, her popularity didn't drop. Instead, it became even more popular. The internet often reported on her and her husband's loving daily life. Every time Ruan Kui was filming, as long as Ludovic was free, he would definitely go to the set to pick up his wife. Even one of their children had the same surname as their mother. Did Ming Shujia hate Ruan Kui? Without a doubt, she hated her. It was all thanks to Ruan Kui that she became what she was today. She was the one who found someone to expose the scandal that caused such a sensation. She just couldn't stand Wan Qi's glamorous appearance and wanted to ruin her reputation. She didn't expect the Gardner family to be so powerful and directly put pressure on Star Entertainment. Yu Xiong also abandoned her immediately and banned her. Her past interactions with those investors were all exposed. The time, place, and who she was with were all clear, and there was no room for debate. No entertainment company in the country was willing to sign her. She had no choice but to choose a small production studio. Because her reputation was completely ruined, the roles she could get were all vicious and promiscuous. Her pay was barely enough to make a living. Standing in the bathroom, Ming Shujia allowed the ice-cold water to pour down from the top of her head. In a trance, she recalled the time when she first came into this body. At that time, he was confident, proud, and ambitious. He felt that he would definitely be able to make a name for himself in the Z country's entertainment industry with his ability to foresee the future. However, why did everything turn out like this? She couldn't understand. She hastily took a shower and fell onto the bed before she could even dry her trembling wet hair. She didn't have time to think about those things now. She had to go to bed quickly. She had to get up early tomorrow to rush to the set. Ming Shujia closed her eyes tiredly. After Gu Xingyin returned to the space, she didn't stay for long before hurrying to the next world. However, when she opened her eyes, she was completely dumbfounded. Anyone who opened their eyes and found themselves lying in a coffin, even if the coffin was unusually spacious and luxurious, it couldn't hide the fact that it was a coffin, would be stupefied. Chapter 146. System. Gu Xingyin called out to the system as she sat up and surveyed her surroundings. Without a doubt, she was in a very large room. The room was very dark. Gu Xingyin surveyed her surroundings. Based on the furnishings around her, this should be a bedroom. Who would place a coffin in a bedroom? The system finally appeared. Host, your body this time is Catherine Brooke, princess of the blood race's Brooke family. Blood race? Before Gu Xingyin could react, a huge amount of information flooded her mind. When Princess Brooke's memories, which spanned over tens of thousands of years, flooded her mind, even Gu Xingyin's incomparably strong soul was greatly impacted. She sat in the luxurious coffin in a daze for quite a while. The blood race was known as the undead race. They did not age or die and had an almost eternal lifespan. At the same time, they possessed powers that ordinary humans could not hope to attain. The hierarchy of the blood race was very strict. Since the extinction of the blood race's ancestor, Cain, and the second generation of the blood race, the third generation blood race, who were known as the princes, were the strongest of the blood race. The body that Gu Xingyin was currently occupying was one of the two princes of the blood race, the leader of the Brooke family, which was known as the strongest fighting race of the blood race. The other prince was from another race of the blood race, the Makavi family. Unlike the Brooke family, who loved to fight, the Makavi family was known as the lunatics of the blood race. When they were quiet, they were more gentlemanly and elegant than the human royalty. However, once the madness in their bones was triggered, they were more terrifying than the cruelest of demons. The prince of the Makavi family, Owen Makavi, was also the fiancé of Princess Brooke. Gu Xingyin combed through her memories. Fortunately, the marriage between Catherine and Owen was just an agreement between the two races. The two of them did not interfere with each other's affairs. Speaking of which, in the thousands of years of marriage between the two, Owen, who was naturally a playboy, had changed lovers countless times. Fortunately, Catherine the Great loved to fight and didn't like strangers getting close to her. Princess Brooke, who had lived for tens of thousands of years and was still a virgin, was the target of all the blood breeds. Owen McAvoy had even joked that he would personally transform anyone who could spend a night with Her Highness Catherine, and bestow him with great power. Only the Blood Clan, who were known for their lack of moral integrity, could say such words. Unfortunately, to this day, no one has been able to fulfill this condition. Gu Xingyin got up from the coffin and stepped barefoot on the scarlet goose down carpet. Her skin was exceedingly white, and against the crimson carpet, she was stunningly beautiful. Gu Xingyin carefully observed her surroundings as she walked. She had to admit that the bloodlings were a race that knew how to enjoy life. Everywhere she looked, there was nothing that wasn't luxurious and extravagant, yet she couldn't detect a trace of tackiness. She only felt that it was incomparably luxurious and made people not dare to look at it directly. The long lifespan of the bloodlings gave them unlimited advantages. They were rich, romantic, interesting, and were born beautiful. They even had enough time to nurture their sense of beauty. Gu Xingyin arrived in front of the huge carved ivory mirror. It was said that this mirror was the work of a human master 100 years ago. It had been kept in the emperor's treasury for decades as a treasure. No one knew that the mirror in the emperor's treasury was just a defective product. The real perfect work had long been in the hands of the princess of the blood breeds. The figure in the mirror appeared in Gu Xingyin's eyes. Chapter 147. Without a doubt, the female lead of each world was usually born with the fortune of the world, and their looks were usually not bad. The female leads that Gu Xingyin had experienced in the previous worlds were also all worthy of the title of Shenhua. However, there was no one like Queen Ekaterina Brooke, who gave people such a big impact at first sight. She was undoubtedly extremely beautiful. Her eyes were a mysterious dark gold color. They were deep and unruly, like two bottomless pools that could easily make people sink into them. Her skin was very white, like the finest and most exquisite ivory. Her red lips were like flames, and when she opened them slightly, she could casually spit out a sentence that could make people go crazy. She had an extremely beautiful head of long red curly hair, which naturally fell to her ankles. With a slight movement, it was as if it was going to burn. She was a peerless beauty. However, this beauty also had the power to look down on the world. If she wanted to, she could destroy a kingdom with a wave of her hand. Such a woman would undoubtedly make people fearful, and would also make men have an unprecedented desire to conquer her. At this moment, this beauty was frowning slightly. Such an action from her face did not affect her beauty at all, but it would make people want to erase the things that affected her mood. Unfortunately, the system was not human, and it did not care much about the host's beauty. System, my power seems to be a bit wrong? Gu Xingyin furrowed her brows. She had just discovered that there was another type of power in her body apart from the blood tribe's bloodline power. This was not a small matter. If there was a conflict between the two powers, even for her, it would not be a small matter. The system replied, I was just about to explain to the host that the host has successfully completed 5 world missions. From this world onwards, the host can choose to take away the power of any of the world's protagonists. The first time the system randomly selected, the host will have the Ice Soul Sword Heart of Gu Weixin in the Xianxia world, and have the ability to transform the blood of the blood breeds into sword energy. Gu Xingyin, a blood breeds prince who uses a sword? Isn't this style a bit wrong? The system said. Of course, the host can choose not to use this skill. Friendly reminder. Although the bloodline makes you powerful, it also restricts some things. For example, vampires can't see sunlight. Even someone as strong as a prince is only slightly better at resisting sunlight than ordinary vampires. Gu Xingyin nodded. I understand what you mean. As long as it doesn't affect me in any way, I don't mind learning another skill. It's never a burden to have more skills. You might even be able to save your life at a critical moment. At this moment, someone knocked on Gu Xingyin's door. Your Highness, your dinner is ready, the waiter outside the door said respectfully. The heavy door opened silently. Gu Xingyin walked out unhurriedly. The servant didn't even dare to raise her head. She felt like she couldn't breathe in front of the prince. This was the bloodline suppression that a high-level blood breed had over a low-level blood breed. However, at this moment, Gu Xingyin, who was sitting at a long square table that could accommodate dozens of people, was speechless as she looked at the luxurious dinner in front of her. A cup of fresh blood. Gu Xingyin was speechless. Even if her acting skills were good, she really couldn't drink this blood. Chapter 148. Fortunately, someone came in time to save her. Catherine, my fiancée, long time no see. A low voice sounded. At the same time, the man floated into the castle like a gust of wind. Gu Xingyin's expression did not change, but her body swayed slightly and disappeared. Sigh, you really don't look like a woman. A melancholic voice sounded from where Gu Xingyin was sitting. There was no need to guess. There was only one person who dared to call Princess Brooke by her name, Olinwen McAvoy. Gu Xingyin raised her head and looked at the fiancé of the original body. The skin of the blood clan was top-notch, not to mention Olinwen, who was a pure-blood prince. At this moment he was wearing a noble suit from the Middle Ages. His golden hair was neatly combed behind his ears, revealing his handsome facial features. His mesmerizing blue eyes were filled with melancholy, making people unable to help but feel pity for him. Seeing Gu Xingyin looking over, Olinwen revealed a regretful smile. Catherine, no matter what, we have been engaged for thousands of years, but I have not even succeeded in hugging you. Gu Xingyin said coldly. I don't feel at ease letting such a dangerous person like you get close to my body. Look, you don't know how to have fun. Olinwen seemed to be helpless against her. In this world, fighting is not the only thing that can make people happy. He looked at Gu Xingyin teasingly. If you are willing to believe me this once, I will bring you the most extreme happiness in the world. Gu Xingyin raised her eyebrows and looked at him. Her red lips lifted, revealing a smile that could make people fall head over heels for her. Olinwen was stunned. Why did he feel that this woman seemed to be different? If it was in the past, she would not have revealed such a smile. It was really damn seductive. Happy things? Gu Xingyin pondered these words carefully. When Olinwen looked at her, she raised her eyebrows and said viciously, even if I want to, I won't find a man who I don't know how many hands he has, right? Olinwen choked for a moment before he sneered. Catherine, if it weren't for your bloodline, I wouldn't believe that a woman like you could be a pure vampire. Gu Xingyin smirked. You should know that if it weren't for your bloodline, you would have been reduced to ashes a long time ago. Olinwen did not care about her sarcasm. He suddenly stood up, and in a flash he came to Gu Xingyin's side, stopping at a distance that would not make her feel disgusted. In this world, I'm the only one who dares to speak to you like that, right? My fiancé. He suddenly let out a long laugh and disappeared. Gu Xingyin stood up and walked back to her bedroom. It was not until a long time after she had left that a servant walked into the living room, trembling with fear. Prince Makavi did not hide his identity when he came to Brooke's Nightingale Castle. These servants had already hidden far away. No one would dare to eavesdrop on the conversation between the two princes, even if they were given 100 guts. The servant looked at the untouched blood in the cup with infatuation, and licked his lips. This was the purest and freshest virgin blood. Other than high-ranking vampires who were counts and above, ordinary people would not be able to enjoy it. Chapter 149. Lancelot Lane had a very strange dream. A woman appeared in his dream. He could not see the woman's face clearly. Sometimes he even felt that the woman looked different every time she appeared, but he knew that it was the same person. In his dream, he was madly in love with that woman. After waking up from the dream, the burning feeling in his heart did not fade for a long time. He felt that he had fallen in love with that woman. He wanted to find her. If his diehard followers knew about this, they would definitely mock him for a long time. So many beautiful and cute ladies were chasing after him, but he had fallen in love with a woman who did not even exist in his absurd dream. He got out of bed, changed his clothes, and started to walk outside with his sword. Young master, where are you going? The white-haired old butler asked curiously. I'm going out for a while. He felt that the impulse in his heart came out of nowhere, but strangely, he did not reject it. Instead, he was secretly excited. It was as if someone was guiding him. The person he was looking for was far away in the north. At this moment, a girl came to the Dark Knight Castle in the McAvoy territory in the south. The target of the mission has appeared. Gu Xingyin sighed. If this story did not have a Katarina Brooke, it would be a story of a handsome blood clan prince and an ordinary human girl. The beautiful human girl, Rita, caught the eye of the blood clan prince who was out looking for food. The blood clan prince, who had only intended to enjoy her once, brought her back to the castle because of the girl's unusually delicious blood. He planned to make her a long-term meal ticket. The girl did not resist. In fact, Very few humans could resist the beauty and immortality of the Blood clan. But the girl was not willing to be an unknown lover. She wanted to become the official wife of Oren McAvoy. But there was still a high and mighty woman, Ekaterina Brooke. Even without Ekaterina, the McAvoy family would not agree to the prince choosing a human girl to be his wife. If the girl's blood was not pure, the future heir would not be a noble pure blood. Actually, there was still a chance. As long as Oren insisted, no one would dare to go against the prince's power. Unfortunately, Rita, who had fallen into madness, did not think so much. In order to become a noble pure blood, she thought of a way: blood exchange. Whose blood should he exchange for? Naturally, it was the woman with the most noble bloodline in the entire blood race, Ekaterina Brooke. It was no doubt difficult to plot against a prince. Rita had been preparing for this for almost 1,000 years. She took advantage of Princess Brooke's weakness and sealed her away with a bunch of equally ambitious vampire allies. However, this matter could not be considered a success because before Rita could make a move, Prince Makavi had rushed over. Almost at the instant he saw the female duchess lying in the coffin, he was so furious that he tore everyone present into pieces. However, he was still unable to wake up his fiancée from her deep slumber. Can the blood exchange really succeed? Gu Xingyin suddenly asked. The system replied. The blood breeds rely on blood to pass down their power. Theoretically speaking, Rita's idea can be realized. Furthermore, after obtaining all of your blood, she will also inherit the dark energy in your blood. Gu Xingyin. This world is not beautiful at all. Chapter 150. It was said that Prince Makavi of the Dark Knight Castle had a new favorite. Not only did he prepare a grand banquet for her, but he also announced that he would change her publicly at the banquet. This was a rare thing. Everyone knew that Prince Makavi had always been flirtatious, and he had countless lovers. However, there were very few who could receive this honor. If the prince personally carried out the embrace, as long as the lucky human was not too unlucky, she would at least become an earl. Many blood breeds were envious and jealous of this, who asked them to not receive the prince's favor. Tonight, the Dark Knight Castle was very lively. Everyone wanted to see what kind of human could catch the eye of His Highness McAvoy, who was so arrogant. Rita was nervous and excited at the same time. She had been in the Dark Knight Castle for so long and already knew what kind of race the blood breeds were. She was not afraid at all. Instead, she was excited and looking forward to what was going to happen next. Becoming an immortal blood breed was such a good thing. Although she would lose sunlight, she could obtain almost everything else: beauty, strength, wealth, power, and immortality. She felt her blood boiling. Olinwen turned his head as if he sensed something. He leaned over and looked at her. You can't wait anymore? Rita's face was slightly red and her eyes were bright. She was about to say something when the hall suddenly quieted down. Other than Olinwen, all the blood breeds in the hall lowered their noble heads at the same time. Rita, on the other hand, did not feel much because she was a human. She opened her eyes wide and looked at the woman who walked in slowly. She was so shocked that she could not speak. She knew that the blood breeds were exceptionally beautiful. However, in front of this woman, all the other blood breeds were reduced to accessories. Catherine, what brings you here? She heard the man beside her call out her name. His tone was different from the solemn one in the past. I heard that you are going to change into a blood descendant. I have nothing to do, so I came to take a look. The woman's voice seemed to have a unique rhythm. It was slightly low, but it was able to evoke the deepest desire in one's heart. Rita's body trembled uncontrollably. It wasn't out of fear, but excitement. The man beside her seemed to laugh briefly. In 3,000 years, this is the first time you have come to my Dark Knight Castle. What an honor, my fiancé. Rita was shocked. Fiancé? This man actually had an engagement? She glanced at Gu Xingyin in confusion. The next second, she lowered her gaze as if she didn't dare to look straight at her. He actually had such a beautiful and noble fiancée, so why did he come to find her? Gu Xingyin glanced at Rita. She had long curly red hair, light brown eyes, and a fair complexion. She was considered a rare beauty among humans, but she was not very eye-catching among the blood clan. However, why did he feel that she looked a little familiar? Gu Xingyin thought for a while, but did not come up with an answer. Of course, she had a purpose for coming here today. Her long red dress trailed on the ground as the high and mighty Duchess walked towards Rita step by step. Rita felt that her breathing was about to stop. That seductive and domineering face appeared in front of her. Then a fair and flawless finger gently lifted her chin. This human girl is to my liking. Owen, why don't you give her to me? Chapter 151. All the Blood Clan members lowered their heads, but their ears were pricked up. So this was the reason why Princess Brooke had avoided men for so many years. The Blood Clan had never abstained from sex, and men and women were not a big deal. Some of the female Blood Clan members were even thinking about how to recommend themselves to Nightingale Castle. Oli Wen's expression turned ugly. He looked at Gu Xingyin and said coldly, "Catherine, I was the one who took a liking to her first." Gu Xingyin looked at him strangely. Was Wen angry? That shouldn't be the case. Logically speaking, Owen had only treated Rita as a tasty prey. Since she had asked for Rita, there was no reason for him to be angry. Could it be that she had miscalculated and Wen had taken a liking to her now? However, she would not give up. Well, isn't it still up to this lovely lady to decide for herself? Gu Xingyin lowered her body and moved closer to Rita. Then, lovely lady, are you willing to accept my embrace and become the blood descendant of me, Catherine Brooke, and become a noble member of the Brooke family? Even the breaths of the Blood Clan members were slightly cold. However, this slight coldness caused Rita's ears to heat up. She mustered her courage and looked up at Gu Xingyin, but she was caught in a pair of deep, dark golden eyes. Those eyes seemed to contain magic, and Rita felt that her soul was about to fall into them. I'm willing. Before Rita could say the word willing, she felt herself falling into a familiar embrace. It was Owen. She heard the incomparably beautiful woman sigh softly. Rita almost broke free from Owen's embrace because of this sigh. She ran to her side and covered her mouth. Rita's heart was about to break when she heard this sigh. Enough, Catherine the Great. Wen seemed to be a little irritated. Don't you think it's beneath you to use your seduction on an ordinary human? Gu Xingyin sighed. She had planned to turn Rita into a Blood Clan member before she could do so. This way, as her blood descendant, Rita would no longer have the opportunity to deal with her. This could be considered a permanent solution. Everything went smoothly, but he didn't expect Wen to be so uncooperative. She straightened up and looked at Wen. It's not like you to be so petty, Wen. Owen regained his composure and let go of Rita. He smiled and said, I'm not being stingy. In front of so many vampires, what will happen to the McAvoy clan's reputation if you embrace my chosen bloodline? Gu Xingyin thought to herself, who are you trying to fool? Even if these people were gossiping to death in their hearts, they would never have the guts to spread the news that His Highness the Prince did not want others to know. Gu Xingyin rolled her eyes and knew that it was impossible to change Rita's mind. She could use force, but that wasn't Catherine's style. It would also arouse Livingston's suspicions and make him more interested in Rita. Then how are you going to make it up to me? Wen, I'm not in a good mood now. Gu Xingyin walked to a chair at the side and sat down lazily. Wen looked at this woman. He had never realized that this woman who only knew how to fight had such a lazy and sexy side to her. Everyone in my castle of night, except Rita. You can pick anyone you like. How about that? Chapter 152. Wen was in a good mood as he looked at Catherine with furrowed brows. His gaze swept across the vampires in the banquet hall. Many of them were looking at her eagerly, hoping to catch the eye of the princess. However, Princess Brooke closed her eyes as if she was sensing the people in the castle. Then she opened her eyes and said to Wen, the man who walked into the castle of darkness and was tied up by your people is him. Her tone was casual, as if she was taking away a cat or a dog. Wen didn't mind and agreed readily. In an instant, he contacted the guards who were escorting the human who had broken into the Castle of Darkness and brought him over. However, he regretted it the moment he stepped into the banquet hall. This human. He actually had an appearance that was not inferior to any of the blood breeds. Most importantly, he gave off a feeling that was like the warmest sunlight. The more they couldn't have something, the more they would be obsessed with it. This was the common trait of all living creatures. The vampires who couldn't see the light from birth had the ambition to embrace the sunlight. It was no wonder that Catherine, who didn't like humans, chose him. Lancelot's gaze was fixed on one person the moment he stepped into the banquet hall. It was her. Although this woman looked different from the woman in his dreams, his strong feeling told him that she was the one he was looking for. Gu Xingyin was in a good mood as her lover stared at her with such passion. However, on the surface, she looked at Lancelot with a look of disdain. Your looks are all right, but your strength is a little too weak. Lancelot was taken away by Gu Xingyin under Li Wen's gentle smile. Beautiful lady, let me introduce myself. I am Lancelot Ryan. Lancelot stared at Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin glanced at him lazily. Do you know that you are now my possession? Who allowed you to speak to me in such a tone? That's right, she wanted to prank him. Thanks to the vampire's powerful sixth sense, she sensed the lotus fragrance on Lancelot's body the moment he appeared in the Dark Knight Castle's territory. She waited for the man's expression to change. Who would have thought that Lancelot's face would be filled with excitement, and even a little shyness? Your belongings? Does my entire being belong to you? So, how should I address you? My master? Gu Xingyin. Why are the lovers in this world so shameless? If the people of the Ryan family heard this, it was estimated that they would spit out a mouthful of blood, and then immediately cultivate a new heir. It was too shameful. In the end, Gu Xingyin managed to maintain her image. She looked at the fearless Lancelot in surprise. Do you know who I am? Lancelot shook his head sincerely. Gu Xingyin's lips curled into an evil smile. Vampires feed on the blood of ordinary people. Have you heard of that? Lancelot's expression immediately turned ugly. Gu Xingyin thought that he was afraid, but the man suddenly said, I know about vampires. I heard that when you suck the blood of humans, that person will feel the pinnacle of pleasure? He stared at Gu Xingyin and asked, Have you ever made others feel this way before? Before Gu Xingyin could say anything, he suddenly stood up and leaned over to look at Gu Xingyin. He said domineeringly, No matter what happened in the past, from now on, you can only suck my blood. No one else. Chapter 153. From now on, you will be my valet. After saying these words, Catherine left Lancelot to the butler of Nightingale Castle. The strict and old-fashioned butler would teach him well how to be a qualified valet. It's time for you to get up, my master. A gentle voice woke Gu Xingyin from his deep sleep. She opened her eyes and saw Lancelot's face. The young master of the Ryan family, being a small valet in my castle, don't you feel unreconciled? Lancelot shook his head honestly. How could he not be reconciled? As long as he could stay by her side and see her every day, it was already the most wonderful thing in the world for him. Young Master Ryan was not a reserved master. He looked at his master affectionately and said, It is my honor to be your personal servant. Who would have thought that Gu Xingyin's face would turn cold? She looked at Lancelot with an oppressive gaze. Why? Don't tell me you fell in love with me because of my face? Lancelot opened his mouth and said, I did fall in love with you at first sight. Before Gu Xingyin could become unhappy, he continued to say, But it wasn't the day before yesterday, it was in a dream. In the dream, there were many different shadows, but I was sure that they were the same person. And the moment I saw you, I knew that person was you. Gu Xingyin was sure that this man wasn't lying. Could it be that he still had memories of the previous world? She was somewhat happy. She hoped that one day, her lover could be like her, able to recognize her at a glance. After thinking for a moment, Gu Xingyin stretched out her hand and a long sword appeared in her hand. Unlike the swords in the hands of the knights of this world, this sword's appearance was clearly the appearance of the 3-feet-long Qingfeng mountain in the world of immortal cultivation. This is it. Lancelot stared at the sword in Gu Xingyin's hand. The sword I saw in the dream had this strange appearance. Gu Xingyin thought of something and said to Lancelot, Come here. She placed her hand on Lancelot's pulse and felt it inch by inch. Lancelot's face turned red. This was too fast. He wasn't ready yet. However, if she really wanted to, what are you thinking about? A cold voice interrupted his chaotic thoughts. Lancelot came back to his senses and found that Gu Xingyin had already let go of his hand. He suppressed the regret in his heart and smiled embarrassedly. Gu Xingyin was just feeling Lancelot's bones. Because she didn't have any tools in this world, she couldn't test the level of his sword heart. He could only use the method of feeling his bones to determine if he was suitable to become a sword cultivator. A high-level swordsman had a long lifespan. She did not want to change him, but she wanted to stay with him forever. Gu Xingyin sat in front of the long table, but didn't see the blood that usually appeared in front of her table. She heaved a sigh of relief. Now that she was cultivating the way of the sword, she had already reached the level where she didn't need to eat to maintain her bodily functions. Therefore, the weakness of bloodlings who didn't drink blood didn't affect her. Lancelot walked to her side and squatted down. I said before that I don't want you to consume other people's blood, even if you don't drink it yourself. I'm willing to provide you with the freshest blood. He raised his head, revealing his weak and defenseless neck. Chapter 154. Gu Xingyin had a very strange feeling. She hated blood. In the past, no matter how much fresh blood the housekeeper of Nightingale Castle brought her, she only felt the smell of blood and never felt any temptation. But today was different. She looked at the gently pulsating blood vessels under Lancelot's white skin. The world's most delicious blood was flowing inside. An uncontrollable desire spread from the bottom of her heart. She wanted to drink his blood and even transform him. This impulse was too strong. When Gu Xingyin was alerted by the system in her mind, she found that her fangs had already been exposed and were pressing against the man's neck. She closed her eyes, retracted her fangs, and gently licked with her tongue. The man's body shook and his breathing suddenly became heavy. Seeing the woman get up, Lancelot was somewhat puzzled. Why didn't you bite down? He clearly felt that there was something hard against his neck, but she stopped at the last moment. Gu Xingyin didn't speak. She took Lancelot to a room and let him attack her with all his strength. Lancelot was somewhat puzzled. Gu Xingyin only said one sentence to dismiss him. I just want to know if my valet has the ability to protect himself when I am attacked. She didn't say whether he could protect her, but whether he could protect himself. Lancelot had heard of the rumors of the vampires. These days, when he got along with Gu Xingyin, he could also feel the great power contained in her body. He didn't speak anymore. He pulled out the sword at his waist and rushed towards Gu Xingyin. However, even when he was gasping for breath, he couldn't even touch the corner of Gu Xingyin's clothes. Lancelot was frustrated. He had always been proud of his strength, but he didn't expect that he, who was already considered a strong human, would be so powerless in front of the vampires. Gu Xingyin's words made him even more uncomfortable. With your strength, you can only deal with some low-level vampires. Even if it's just a small count, you won't be a match for him. Of course, he knew what kind of person the woman he liked was. In the entire vampires, she was the highest existence. He didn't deserve her. Do you need me to convert you? Gu Xingyin slowly walked over and whispered in his ear. It was extremely tempting. As long as I transform you, you will immediately obtain great power. Lancelot was tempted for a moment. No. His eyes quickly became firm. He looked at Gu Xingyin and said, If I am transformed by you and become your blood descendant, I will never be worthy of you in this lifetime. Gu Xingyin was a little surprised and then she laughed. Yes, this person had been so submissive to her these days that she almost forgot how prideful he was. How could he tolerate this? Well, if you don't want to be transformed by me, a human's lifespan is only a mere 100 years, but I am immortal. Gu Xingyin looked at him coldly. She looked at the man's confused eyes and decided not to tease him anymore. Something was thrown in front of Lancelot. It was that strange-looking sword. Since you don't want to be transformed by me, then use this sword to prove it. Gu Xingyin looked at Lancelot and said, I will teach you how to become a swordsman. If you are talented enough, you might be able to surpass me one day. Because he was her lover, she could tell him without any reservations and didn't have to worry that he would be disloyal. Chapter 155. As Gu Xingyin had expected, Lancelot's talent was so good that it was simply astonishing. Oliwen had been coming to Nightingale Castle from time to time, which made Gu Xingyin a little annoyed. Oliwen, is your McAvoy family so free these days? Gu Xingyin said coldly. The fellow sitting in front of the chair did not seem to understand that his master did not welcome him and said leisurely, I'm here to see my fiancé. What, is there a problem? Gu Xingyin sneered. She also found a chair and sat down with an elegant posture. Oliwen, we both know about our engagement. What is going on? Just like in the past thousands of years, you play with your lover, I live my life. Everyone is at peace with each other. Otherwise, I will unilaterally announce the cancellation of the engagement with you. Catherine, we have known each other for so many years. How can you be so heartless? Oliwen played with the sparkling and translucent crystal cup in his hand and smiled gently. If one ignored the cold light that flashed in his eyes because of Gu Xingyin's words. A prince of the blood clan appearing in my castle has seriously affected the normal life of Nightingale Castle. Okay, I was wrong. If I miss you in the future, I will definitely inform you in advance. How about it? Oliwen said helplessly. Put away your affectionate appearance, Oliwen. I am not one of your little lovers. I won't fall for it. Tell me, what has happened recently? Oliwen glanced at her, seemingly surprised. Gu Xingyin glanced at him. If you, Oliwen, are really the kind of fellow who only thinks about beauty, I doubt that the Brooke family will have any need to cooperate with the McAvoy family. Oliwen laughed. You are still not polite with your words. As expected, it is your usual style, Catherine. His expression suddenly turned serious. I received news that the Vampire Hunter Association seems to be up to something big recently. Tell your Brooke tribesmen to be careful. Damn it, Vampire. Who was the one who came up with such an ungraceful name? Gu Xingyin's expression turned cold as well. The Vampire Hunter Association. We've been too lazy to deal with these little kittens all these years. I didn't expect them to be so bold. After Owen left, Lancelot walked in. Seeing Gu Xingyin frowning slightly, he spontaneously raised his hand to rub her brows. What are you worried about? He asked softly. Gu Xingyin closed her eyes and replied. Isn't it because of you humans? We vampires have signed a contract with the human kingdom. The humans will provide us with fresh blood on a regular basis, while the vampires will be responsible for eliminating the threats from the werewolves and ferocious beasts in the northern mountains. I've always restrained my clansmen to abide by the contract, but your Human Vampire Hunter Association has always treated us as targets to be killed. Lancelot was at a loss for words. He had heard of the Vampire Hunter Association before. Not only had he heard of it, but he even knew that the association was very respected in his own country. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Gu Xingyin. She opened her eyes and laughed coldly. Don't find any excuses. I know very well what you humans are thinking. You are just guarding against the vampires. You are afraid that if we break the contract, with our powerful strength, the humans will not be a match for us. Chapter 156. She said sarcastically. What are you humans so afraid of? What might be a long life for you is just a short sleep in the eyes of us vampires. The things that you care about are nothing in our eyes. Even the so-called Vampire Hunter Association can be easily taken care of as long as I send an elder from the Brooke clan. If we vampires have any ideas one day, you humans won't be able to stop us. Gu Xingyin looked at him but didn't say anything else. However, the vampires wouldn't. Although they were powerful, they were too few in number. Although they could turn humans into vampires through the embrace, it wasn't as simple as humans thought. The vampires treated their descendants with great care. A transformed descendant was equivalent to a child of the vampires. Moreover, the embrace required a large amount of blood essence. Very few vampires would be willing to transform a human, unless they were especially fond of the human. Even a blood breed like Owen and Rita only had 3 blood descendants. Most of the other high-ranking blood breeds like dukes and earls only had 1 blood descendant. Of course, the original Catherine didn't transform anyone due to her personality. Gu Xingyin seemed to feel that this topic was too heavy and didn't continue. She separated a part of her spiritual energy and probed Lancelot. She was surprised to find that he had successfully become a swordsman. "How's your training going?" Lancelot was shocked when he heard this. "I've been practicing according to the method you taught me. It's surprisingly smooth. There's nothing that I don't understand." Gu Xingyin thought that if the inner disciples of the cultivation world heard this, they would probably vomit blood. "You've been here for almost 2 months. Since you're not willing to be the embrace, you should go back," Gu Xingyin asked him. Lancelot suddenly raised his head and looked straight at Gu Xingyin. "Are you tired of me?" Gu Xingyin looked at him. "My Nightingale Castle isn't suitable for a human to live in for a long time, especially a weak human. Do you know how many vampires are tempted by your existence? If it weren't for my restraint, you would have been sucked dry by now." Lancelot lowered his head and didn't say anything. His hand was tightly holding onto the hilt of his sword. Gu Xingyin pointed at Lancelot's forehead. Lancelot only felt that there was something extra in his mind. It was about the swordsman's training method and the stellar sword sect's training method. Lancelot felt that she was different from others. In the past 2 months since he had arrived at Nightingale Castle, all the rumors he had heard about the Grand Duchess were that she was cold, elegant, and unapproachable. However, she taught him a strange but powerful sword technique. She allowed him to get close to her, and she would even smile at him. He suddenly grabbed the hilt of his sword, took a step forward, and grabbed Gu Xingyin's hand with his right hand. Gu Xingyin was shocked, but he did not let go. Lancelot looked at her deeply and said, "Catherine, I would like to call you that. Do you know how I feel about you? Then, you've made so many exceptions for me. Does that count as an answer?" Gu Xingyin raised her head and looked at the man who was taller than her by a head. She indirectly answered his question. "If you want to be my man, you have to prove yourself with your strength first." Chapter 157. "Your Highness, may I know why you summoned me?" A handsome man bowed to Gu Xingyin. "Sala, I need you to go to the Rose Duchy and teach those vampire hunters a lesson," Gu Xingyin said coldly. Sala's face was full of excitement. Sala obeys. He had long since found those hateful vampire hunters an eyesore. Gu Xingyin glanced at him. "Don't overdo it." Sala quickly lowered his head. "Yes, Your Highness." Gu Xingyin went to the Night Castle. She wanted to change her strategy with Rita. He wondered if Rita would still feel resentment and jealousy toward Gu Xingyin if the person she fell in love with was not Olivin. Rita was picking white roses in the garden of the Night Castle. There was only one type of flower in the entire castle. Coincidentally, white roses were Catherine's favorite. The vampires in the Night Castle didn't dare to stop Gu Xingyin. They could only inform their master who wasn't in the castle. "Your Highness." Rita turned around and saw Gu Xingyin standing behind her. She didn't know how long Rita had been standing there looking at her. Gu Xingyin walked towards Rita step by step. She was wearing a royal dress today. It was said that it was very popular among humans. Her long skirt floated on the ground, drawing beautiful arcs in the air. Rita was a little nervous. She didn't know why Her Highness suddenly visited. Gu Xingyin bent down and picked the brightest white rose. She gently put it in Rita's hair. "Very beautiful." She glanced at Rita and a faint smile appeared on her face. Rita suddenly blushed. She suddenly felt that Her Highness' smile was better than all the white roses in the garden. Gu Xingyin did it on purpose. She only had one goal, but there was no limit to the process. This time, she suddenly had an idea. If she were to increase Rita's favorability with her now, as long as Rita had enough favorability with her, would the blood swap in the original plot disappear? "Her Highness is the prettiest." Rita suddenly blurted out such a sentence. As soon as the words left her mouth, she realized what she had said. Her face paled as she knelt down. "Your Highness, please forgive my offense." She had heard that this prince of the Brute clan was the noblest existence among the vampires, just like her own father Owen. Although he had never heard of Her Highness disliking others praising her beauty, his words just now were obviously too frivolous. Gu Xingyin lowered her eyes. She realized that this was a good opportunity to increase her favorability. She reached out with one hand and gently pulled Rita up. Make yourself at home. In fact, I like you very much. If it wasn't for Owen's insistence, I would have brought you back to Nightingale Castle. She was slightly taller than Rita, and her posture almost hugged Rita. Rita only felt that her breath was filled with Her Highness' cold aura. However, Gu Xingyin didn't realize it at all. She continued to whisper affectionately into Rita's ear. Such a cute little girl like you. When Oli Wen came in, he saw the scene. His fiancée was dressed to the nines. She outshone all the white roses in the garden. His new favorite, Rita, was nestled in Catherine's arms shyly. Both of them were whispering something intimately. For some reason, Oli Wen felt a little stifled. Chapter 158. What are the both of you doing? Gu Xingyin turned around and saw that Oli Wen seemed to be a little unhappy. She glanced at Rita, who was standing very close to her, and suddenly realized something. Could it be that Owen was jealous because she was too close to his lover? Gu Xingyin took a step back and looked at him. I am here as a guest. Since you are not around, I can only admire the white roses in the garden with my cute little Rita. Rita looked at the distance between the both of them. She did not know why, but she felt a little regretful. Oli Wen looked at Catherine's expression and was sure that she did not have any improper thoughts about Rita. Only then did he feel relieved. His tone relaxed. If you are coming to the Dark Knight Castle, you can tell me in advance. I will definitely make time for you. Gu Xingyin looked at him with disdain. What is there to talk about with a man like you about? Oli Wen. Rita. I suddenly feel like laughing. It turned out that Her Highness Catherine was such an interesting person. In the following days, Gu Xingyin visited the Dark Knight Castle frequently. Every time she visited, she would have a good chat with Rita. It was not that she did not notice Oli Wen's expression, but she did not understand. She only wanted to chat with Rita. They were both women. What was there for Oli Wen to be worried about? The system complained in its mind. Naive host. Don't you know that the Blood Clan has always been shameless? Even Oli Wen himself likes both men and women. Oli Wen looked at Catherine, who was getting along well with Rita. His eyes gradually darkened. On this day, after Gu Xingyin left, Oli Wen went to Rita's room. Your Highness? Ah! Rita screamed. The next second, her neck was grabbed by O Livingston. Stay away from her, Rita. Oli Wen looked at her with bloodthirsty eyes. Rita's eyes flickered. Your Highness, I don't understand what you mean. Oli Wen tightened his grip on her neck. You don't understand? Catherine may not understand, but don't you understand? He slowly leaned close to her ear. Put away your shameful thoughts. She is not someone you can touch. After that, he released his grip on Rita and threw her to the ground. Cough, cough, cough. It took Rita a long time to catch her breath. She looked at the man who was sitting high above her. Suddenly, a surge of courage came out of nowhere as she blurted out the words in her heart. Your Highness, since you like Catherine so much, why don't you tell her? Why do you have to change lovers one by one? As soon as she said this, Oli Wen's aura suddenly turned violent. Rita spat out a mouthful of blood from the pressure. Oli Wen stared at her with bloodthirsty eyes. If you weren't my blood, I would have sent you to Sea Cane just for what you just said. He didn't seem to want to see her again. His figure blurred and disappeared into the darkness. Rita was left sitting on the ground in a daze. After a long while, she let out a low chuckle. Since you like her, don't do things that will hurt your lover. Since you keep changing lovers one by one, it proves that you are not worthy of her. She slowly stood up and walked into the darkness. Her shadow was elongated under the dim light. It was distorted and strange as it slowly disappeared into the darkness. Chapter 159. When Gu Xingyin arrived at the Dark Knight Castle again, Rita was nowhere to be seen. I sent her to the Loki Kingdom, Oli Wen explained. Gu Xingyin looked at him in surprise, wondering why he was willing to let her go. She did not try to hide it, and Oli Wen immediately understood what she meant. He gritted his teeth and said, Rita and I are not as close as you think. Oh, Gu Xingyin understood in a second. Scumbag. Oli Wen was helpless, but he did not know how to explain it to a person who was not enlightened. so he did not care. Gu Xingyin did not have anything to do. She could clearly feel the change in Rita's attitude towards her. It seemed that she had improved her relationship with Rita. Moreover, judging from the current situation, Rita and Oh Liwen did not have a deep relationship. Thinking about it, in the original plot, the incident where Rita attacked him in order to be with Oh Liwen would not happen. In that case, Gu Xingyin felt that he could take the time to visit a certain man. When Gu Xingyin arrived at the Ryan family mansion, it was late at night. She thought that she would have to go to his bedroom to see him, but she did not expect to see him at a training ground. He had been practicing his sword all night. She took a closer look at Lancelot's level and realized that he was already a swordsman. However, this could not calm Gu Xingyin's anger. It was true that a high-level swordsman could not sleep or rest, but for a low-level swordsman, sufficient rest was necessary. Otherwise, it would be a huge burden on the body. Lancelot, who was focused on practicing his sword, suddenly realized that he could not move. He then watched as the sword in his hand was forcefully taken away by a strong force. Just as he was about to activate the Ryan family's defense, he heard the voice that he had been thinking about day and night. "You don't take your body seriously at all. Are you living too freely?" Lancelot thought that he was dreaming. When he came back to his senses, he realized that the force that was restraining him had disappeared. She hurriedly turned around and looked at Gu Xingyin, who was wearing a cloak. "You've come." Gu Xingyin heard the surprise in his voice, but put that aside for now. "Didn't the memories I passed to you tell you that sword cultivation has very high requirements for the body? If you do this, you might be able to improve very quickly in a short period of time, but you're wasting your aptitude, do you know that?" She said sternly. In fact, how could Lancelot not know? However, he couldn't wait any longer. When he thought of her conditions and the gap between them, he felt that he couldn't wait any longer. "Since she came to see me, did it mean that she actually missed me too?" When Lancelot thought of this possibility, he was overjoyed. He looked at Gu Xingyin, who was staring at him coldly. He was not affected by her cold face at all. He complained, "I miss you every night. I can't sleep because I miss you." "Gu Xingyin." She laughed angrily. "Now it's my fault." So, Lancelot walked to her side. He hesitated for a moment, but still firmly held her hand. "You can supervise me. Watch me every day and make sure that I rest on time. Then I won't let this affect my body." Gu Xingyin. Give him an inch and he wants a mile. However, a certain man's shameless and superficial plan still succeeded. In his bedroom, a non-human successfully moved in. Chapter 160. Don't you need to sleep? Lancelot looked at Gu Xingyin innocently. Gu Xingyin stood aside coldly. "No need. Didn't you want me to watch you sleep? You can sleep now." Lancelot didn't say much. He obediently started to take off his clothes. Jacket, inner shirt, until his firm upper body and smooth muscles were exposed. Then, Lancelot was dismayed to find that this woman did not even spare him a glance. The man didn't give up. He started to walk around the room again. He bent down to pick up something, then walked past Gu Xingyin, and inadvertently showed the muscles on his arms. However, it was obvious that it didn't have any effect. When Gu Xingyin was done with his show, and he was done admiring it, he gave him a blow to the heart. "Why aren't you sleeping yet, Lancelot?" He could only lie back on the bed helplessly. He had thought that he wouldn't be able to sleep with his beloved beside him, but he hadn't expected his thoughts to be so calm. After a while his breathing calmed down. Only when Gu Xingyin was sure that he had fallen asleep did the indifference on his face fade away like the tide. She slowly walked to Lancelot's side and looked at him quietly, as if she couldn't get enough of him. Lancelot woke up with a smile and looked in a certain direction out of habit. There was no one. He immediately woke up and looked around the room, but he didn't see anyone. What's going on? Could it be that everything that happened last night was just a beautiful dream? Lancelot was a bit disappointed. Suddenly he heard a familiar voice. "What are you looking for?" He was surprised and overjoyed when he saw Gu Xingyin appear in the room. "I didn't see you just now. I thought last night was a dream." Gu Xingyin was silent for a bit before saying, "Don't think too much. Since I promised you, I'll naturally supervise your swordsmanship. Lancelot blinked. Then during the day? He knew that vampires couldn't see daylight. However, Gu Xingyin shook her head. It's fine. Sunlight doesn't affect me much now. I'll just wear this cloak. As a result, the people of the Ryan family saw a mysterious person wearing a black cloak beside their young master. When the two of them appeared in front of the dining table, Lancelot then realized that Gu Xingyin seemed to be unable to accept human food. Who is this? Brought Lancelot's father and the head of the Ryan family, asked in surprise. Father, she is my swordsmanship teacher, Lancelot said with a smile. Brat's attitude suddenly became enthusiastic. He knew that his son had been practicing strange swordsmanship recently. At first he did not approve of it, until he saw the power of the swordsmanship. It was simply too mysterious and couldn't be explained with common sense. He was quite curious and respectful towards his son's teacher. Gu Xingyin's attitude was as polite but cold as ever. Brat didn't mind. Most experts had their own quirks. As for the fact that Gu Xingyin was a woman, he was only surprised for a moment. He invited Gu Xingyin to eat breakfast together. The taste buds of vampires couldn't actually detect the taste of human food. Gu Xingyin only ate 2 mouthfuls and then stopped. Mrs. Ryan's attention was drawn to the hand that reached out for the cloak. White, slender, perfect hands. Could a woman with such a pair of hands really be the teacher that taught her son such powerful swordsmanship? Mrs. Ryan felt that her son might have been deceived. When she heard that the two of them were going to the training field, she had an idea. Chapter 161. Young Master Ryan, I heard that you have a new swordsmanship teacher. I specially came to ask for advice. A blond man said to Lancelot. After he finished speaking, he looked at Gu Xingyin, who was wrapped in a black cloak but still had a graceful figure. His tone was full of undisguised contempt. I heard that your new teacher is actually a woman? He sized up Gu Xingyin. Such a weak woman should stay at home and be protected by a man. A weapon like a sword is not suitable for a woman. And he looked at the sword in Lancelot's hand. His expression was full of disdain. It is indeed a woman's sword. It is so small. Can it cut the enemy's throat when dealing with him? Lancelot was furious. This blond man was his previous swordsmanship teacher. His name was Hart. His swordsmanship was good, but he was arrogant and looked down on women. When Lancelot came back, he told his parents that he was learning a new swordsmanship and did not need a swordsmanship teacher. It seemed that this move made him unhappy. But how dare he humiliate her? Lancelot was about to speak, but Gu Xingyin stopped him. She looked at Hart with a faint smile. You want to compete with me? Hart looked proud. Of course. Gu Xingyin nodded. Well, it seems that you don't like my swordsmanship. She stretched out her right hand, and a sword appeared out of thin air. Hart was shocked by her move. He snorted and said, You're just pretending to be mysterious. Gu Xingyin ignored him. Instead, he turned to Lancelot and said, Take a good look. This is the prowess of sword arts. Lancelot was very curious. He had always known that Catherine was powerful, but he had never seen her use a sword. Then his eyes widened. A bright sword light flashed. The huge sword in Hart's hand, which was said to be made of the strongest material, was cut into 2 pieces. The sword in Gu Xingyin's hand was pressed against his neck. A chill spread from Hart's neck to his entire body. He did not doubt that this sword could easily cut off his entire head, just like the broken sword on the ground. Tell me, with such a thin sword resting on your neck, do you think he can slit your throat? Gu Xingyin gently pushed the sword in his hand forward, and Hart immediately felt a sharp pain. Hart's expression did not change. He looked at Gu Xingyin. I apologize for my previous behavior. Your swordsmanship is very powerful. I am far behind. I, Hart, am convinced that I have lost to you. You can punish me as you wish. After he finished speaking, he closed his eyes, looking like he was ready to be killed. Gu Xingyin casually put away the sword in his hand, and did not even look at him. Since you already know what you want to know, let's go. As she spoke, her gaze drifted in a certain direction. Mrs. Ryan, who was hiding in a small attic, felt a chill in her heart. She felt that her whereabouts had been discovered. Impossible. She comforted herself. This location was special. No matter how powerful that person was, it was impossible for him to discover her. Lancelot, who had been paying attention to Gu Xingyin, noticed her behavior. He quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Gu Xingyin replied noncommittally. After Mrs. Ryan went downstairs, she thought for a moment and told her husband what happened today. "What did you say?" Brat was shocked and angry. Chapter 162. You're so stupid. Mr. Brat walked around the study twice. According to what you said, Lance's teacher was strong enough to subdue Hart with a single sword strike. It's not strange that she found you. Mr. Brat was a little depressed. Strong people like her are all proud and arrogant. What if she gets angry and leaves? What will happen to Lance? Mrs. Ryan was also a little anxious. I just wanted to test her strength. How could I have known that Hart would be so straightforward? Mr. Brat suddenly asked. Is that mysterious strong person really as powerful as you say? Speaking of this, Mrs. Ryan's eyes lit up. Oh my God, I've never seen such elegant swordsmanship. I saw that she just held the sword and gently waved it. And then there was a flash of light. Then the sword was placed on Hart's neck. Mr. Brat pondered for a moment and finally decided. In that case, you should go and apologize in person. Such a strong person was worth lowering oneself to make friends with. Mrs. Ryan was not stupid. She understood her husband's meaning and nodded. Okay, I'll go and prepare. Mrs. Ryan's arrival was within Gu Xingyin's expectations. Your Excellency, I'm sorry for offending you today. Please forgive me. Mrs. Ryan sincerely apologized. Gu Xingyin didn't intend to do anything. After all, she was the mother of her lover in this life. She nodded and accepted Mrs. Ryan's gift. In the evening, Lancelot came to the small courtyard the Ryan family had arranged for Gu Xingyin. I'm sorry. Gu Xingyin didn't say anything. Lancelot wasn't stupid. The other party was obvious enough. A dignified vampire princess came to the human world for him, accompanied him to practice swordsmanship, and paid attention to his health. What did he do to deserve her love? But she was wronged by him. He suddenly saw Gu Xingyin's figure move and disappear from the room. Lancelot was shocked. Did she leave in anger? He couldn't help but call out, Catherine, are you there? But no one answered. Lancelot sat on the ground dejectedly. She must be angry and didn't want to see him. Actually, Gu Xingyin did not think too much about it. She had suddenly disappeared because she had sensed Li Wen's aura. You really are here. Owen's voice was emotionless. Looking at Gu Xingyin's puzzled gaze, Li Wen suddenly didn't know how to vent his anger. What should he say? Should she say that she had not been in Nightingale Castle for a long time, and that she had been staying in the house of a human man? Should she say that he was jealous and came looking for her regardless? What position did he have to say that? In the end, he could only force out a sentence. I heard that you've been infatuated with a human recently, so I came to take a look. Gu Xingyin was not in a good mood. She retorted, I remember that this is not the McAvoy family's territory. Owen, aren't you overstepping your boundaries? Li Wen was just about to speak when he suddenly stopped. He could clearly hear the words Catherine in the wind. You actually allowed him to call you by your name? Li Wen could only feel the anger in his heart burning up inch by inch. Li Wen, I, Catherine, have no obligation to report to anyone when I do things. I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. Gu Xingyin turned to leave. A hand reached out to block her path. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.